few steps. You can do this over and over. Um, so I needed to let go of if it's something that wants to leave, and if it's something that wants to move and it's squirming and it wants to break out. I mean, just say it's your kids and they're kind of pushing away, whether they push away to jump on the bus when they're in kindergarten. You have to let go in order to let growth happen. The you know Trying to make people think a certain way, or to keep something that doesn't want to be there, that or to look at life the way you thought it should be and isn't, is in fact its own cancer. And so we can't do that to ourselves. Right now, we're so upset and we have so much anger, so much fear of what we thought should be. And this is just wrong, what's going on. And we had everything was okay. And, our current president is, we had beautiful cities. We had people working. Things in our head looked like everything was okay. And I have my daughters, and they have their jobs and their cars and their friends and their family. And it looked like everything was okay, when in fact, it wasn't. There's an underlying current that what our current situation is with the riots, with everything that's going on, the protesting, is something called racism. And that's always been there. So even when we thought it was okay, these people were experiencing terrible things in their lives as black people. But coming out of all of this, you have to really weed through some of the bullshit and some of the propaganda and some of these other things that are getting in the way of, hey, let's sit down finally in 2020 and figure this out and make it right. In the meantime, we have these other leaders called law enforcement that are getting the shit kicked out of them because of there's some really bad officers out there that just can't help themselves but either pick on black people and kill black people, or pick on certain white drug addicts or homeless people in the street. They're weak. They are sickening and weak men and women if they have the audacity to take their power. It's like trusting a dad that you thought would never do something, and then they do, or a mom, or anybody that you trust. We're supposed to be able to trust the police. And there's just some real jerks. And it's part of being a human being. But we do need change. We need new policies and laws put in place that says, okay, if you do that, you don't get to try 18 times. You lose your job and get fired the first time. This is unacceptable behavior that our politics, our mayors, our governors have been letting these guys get away with. And it's absurd. It's absurd. We were all mad at the officer, well, whatever you want to call it, rage. I don't even know what word to use, but when that happened with the this officer with his knee on this poor man's neck and killing him right before our eyes, we all felt the same thing at the same moment. We were outraged. Outraged. It's unacceptable. And then we find out history, this idiot's been doing stuff for over 18 times and still got to be a police officer. Unacceptable. So yes, there are jerks out there. I mean, I don't even know what word. Just pathetic, weak, disgusting human beings. The ones that beat their spouses, their wives, the ones that are beating, a woman when she's pregnant. The ones that push an old man down in the street, as we just saw, this poor 75-year-old man that looked like he was just giving the police officers their helmet. Like, it's like on the playground, just we've given them this power to protect us, and in fact, they're bullying us. And so this is years. This isn't new. It isn't fresh. It isn't just George Floyd. It's years. And so because of all of that, we are not fine and we are not okay. But we have to believe that there's something that's going to allow change so that we can be okay. But a lot of us, present company included, are like, give me a plan. I operate on plans. So we've been, protesting and rioting and tearing down buildings and businesses. These folks have made their mark. Now, what is the plan? What are we going to do differently? The voice has been heard. We need to have the possibility of being fine and or okay in the future. Otherwise, we can just keep tearing down town after town across the United States of America. You won't run out. I mean, we have towns that still haven't been, torn up yet. So let's just keep doing that. Does that sound like action to make us not have fear anymore? And so we need to take these resources and we need to take what's going on and start at the beginning of resolve. And, from the time that we're babies, there are restrictions. There is leadership that says you can't do that or you're going to get hurt. You can't do that or you'll hurt someone else. So if you have parents that have been doing that, we need to have some sort of order out there that stops us from doing things that are going to hurt ourselves or someone else. It sounds really, really primary, doesn't it? Like, Bev, you're an idiot. What do you think? We don't know that? Well, if you know that, then stop doing it. It's so frustrating. Let's come together and start researching and developing so that we are in a situation of resolve. So we have our own little bubbles and we have our own little things that we're within ourselves. And I think that it's as corny as it sounds, we have to start with our own self. For example, there's going to be more protests this weekend. If not tonight. I don't know. But as an individual in that protest, what is the most effective thing you can do as a protester? Is it standing 6 inches away from a police officer and screaming in his face? I don't know. I have an opinion and I'm allowed to have it. I don't think that's the one. Are we acting out and being so dramatic, hoping we'll be the one on the next Facebook video feed from someone's phone? Is that who we are? The person that you're screaming in their face and they are putting up with you saying, no justice, no peace, fuck the police. You don't know that human being. That particular human being is the one that has a wife in the hospital dying from cancer, and he's responsible for taking care of 2 babies while she's dying. And he's standing out on the street trying to have a semblance of order while his 2 babies are home with maybe grandma or grandpa, so he could possibly go die just like mom. We're thinking in masses. And it's killing us. I think about God, and he's looking down, and he's certainly saying, all of my kids aren't bad. I'll forgive the ones that are really doing some harm and damage, but not all of you guys are bad. Well, not every white person is bad. Not every black person is bad. And this is what frustrates a lot of us. Not all policemen are bad. A whole bunch of politicians really suck. But there might be a handful of them out there that aren't bad. People say politicians are terrible and it's politics and it's going to kill us. But there are some politicians out there, I don't know, congresswomen, men, senators, who really do give a shit and are trying to make a difference. When I was growing up, I actually wanted to be a politician. But I quickly found out I could never be one. Because I'm human and I've done some bad things. What would they pounce on? What's my history? So I was a coward and I didn't do anything with it. But we have to realize not everybody is bad, or we're grouping you're all racist. If you don't think like me, you're a racist. If you don't think like me and you believe in the police department, then you're a big part of the problem. That's bullshit. I know a lot of police officers that were in it for the greater good and are in it for the greater good. And they put their lives on the line every single day, hoping to come back home to their husband or wife. And they chose that profession not so they could go out there as a power play and kill black people and kill white people. They're really trying not to do that, some of them. But we have to get to a place where the ones that are really shitty do get reprimanded. That is the problem. If you're a baby brother or sister and you're watching your brothers and sisters get away with everything, why wouldn't you do it? They got away with it. Well, if you're an egotistical jerk of a police officer and you're getting away with it, the next shitty guy that comes along, he's going to get away with it. And they're covering each other's asses. And that has to change. I agree. But we have to stop blanketing. Or that opportunity or that possibility of being fine or okay is going to eat our own individual soul alive. So politicians have always been there, good and bad. Police officers have always been there ever since I was born, good and bad. We have to start fixing this. We can't just all be out there willy-nilly and with no responsibility. If we're really going to live up to that Constitution, and we do have the freedom of speech, that's freedom of speech with responsibility. So we look at some of the music that's written. There's some disgusting, pathetic, horrible, violent, vile, disgusting lyrics out there that demean women, that are violent in their message. And people are buying this, and it's okay with them. In my opinion, which I am allowed to have, that's not what freedom of speech is. You're not just allowed to just say whatever. You're allowed to, but why don't you cough up some responsibility? So in all of this disarray and all of this mess and everything that's going on out there and just this crisis, this cancer that is living and breathing among us. Some people survive cancer. Some people don't.